The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw Dating, preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now, your hosts, Christy Scales, Aisha Morrison, Nicole Hutchison, and Jess Navarez.
Welcome into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys in the SWBC studio. I'm Nicole Hutchison alongside Aisha Morrison and Jess Navarez. Ladies, we got, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 4 more days. You know I'm mad a little bit. 4 more days until game day against the Panthers. Of course, McCarthy in the press conference saying that they still want to go out there and play ball and play their way of football, play to their standard despite of what the record is for the Panthers. But a lot of things to touch on today. We've got Peyton Hendershot that will be making his return back.
Yeah.
And a lot of other things. Well, first we'll start with you, Jess. You got to see Peyton in locker room today. So what did you kind of catch from him?
Yeah, so Peyton was sitting in his locker, and I noticed what he was doing was watching film and taking notes today. And so that was cool to see. So I just went up to him, and I was like, hey. And this is before we knew that he was being designated for return. And this is before we knew the practice status for today. And so I just went up to check on him, and I said, hey, how are you doing? How are you feeling? He gave me the green light, said it's all good. And I said, physically, great. Mentally, where are you? And he said, I'm good. I'm doing really good. And he was like so focused on his notes. I was like, all right, man, I'll leave you alone. You're clearly trying to get stuff done, but I am very excited to see kind of how he comes back. Seems like he feels just fresh overall. But I did think that was a little interesting nugget to throw in there about him sitting in his locker taking notes. Because when you're in the locker room, you don't always see that. You don't always see the guys actually studying and working. And so I thought it spoke volumes. Looking back in hindsight, it spoke volumes that he's taking his notes. He's getting ready to do what he can. So excited.
Adds another weapon to this offense, especially for Dak to have. What does this do for this offense, Aisha, having a guy like Peyton Hendershot back on this team?
Well, for him in particular, it gives him another shot. He's an undrafted free agent. He worked his tail off to get here. Gives him another opportunity to show them why they brought him here. And also, too, when you look at it schematically, the Cowboys are doing a lot in 11 personnel. We talked about it yesterday and what that is and what that looks like. Having a lot of success with the Brandon Cooks, CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson, and another wide receiver, whether that be Michael Gallup or Jalen Tolbert, out of that formation. And but there is something that Mike McCarthy does a lot, which is 12 personnel, which is he's had a history of doing that. And so we're not seeing it as much just because you're not getting much from your other tight ends on a consistent basis as a receiver. Peyton Hendershot has receiving qualities. So him coming in, obviously, being focused, the concentration, all that, I think is going to be important, and it may be able to open up some things in this passing game if he can come in and be successful. I'm all for it. I'm sure he's hungry to get back out there. And I've seen Peyton Hendershot, and I know what he's capable of. So hopefully he does, to your point, add some to this offense, to this big old hen dog. Yeah, I'm excited for hen dog, man. Yeah. It's hard being out and kind of watching from the sidelines, but we've talked about it this season, how much this offense has been a little bit easier to digest, it seems like, for a lot of these players. Let's see if that benefits him as well coming off this injury and being able to integrate back into this offense.
Yeah, I think the pass pro, too, is another thing that I'm interested to see how he can be integrated in, maybe getting some of that help on the right side of the line a little bit more with him. And so I'm interested to see, because a big conversation with Mike a couple of weeks ago was, hey, if Terrence is struggling a little bit, why not get him some help from the tight ends on that side of things? And he said, well, it would take away from the passing game and the receiving threats that you have on the field with those tight ends. But if you had another one in the mix, you kind of don't have to worry about that being eliminated, and you can have the best of both worlds here.
12.
So, excited to see how we can see a little bit more Peyton involved. And I don't know when specifically that could happen, but we do know that the Cowboys are pretty notorious for their ramp-up phase. So to see him kind of start this ramp-up is what I'm thinking we're going to see this week, is going to be very telling, I think, for how soon you could see him.
For a guy like Jake Ferguson, who's playing very well right now, would y'all like to see Peyton more in pass pro, or would you want to see him kind of get some touches and see what he can kind of do?
He's gonna have to do it all. I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing about tight end is that, and that's why I consider it one of the hardest positions to play in football, because you're not just you're an extension of the offensive line, and also too, you're asked to be an adequate passer as well. I mean, a receiver as well. So. To Jess's point, with Mike McCarthy mentioning, it goes back to the 12 personnel thing. When you can put 2 tight ends on the field, and right now what you're seeing is like, and this is no knock to Schoonmaker or those guys, but people are really like, if it's not 87, we don't care. So if you could bring in a wrinkle where, Peyton is doing something like he's blocking and then he's slipping to the outside, and we know that he has that ability to do that stuff, that kind of adds things. We also saw him do some jet sweep type stuff and some wheel route type stuff. Like, they added some wrinkles last year even so to kind of try to get him involved. Just see, he's just another piece. And like we talked about, that's one of the things I've been disappointed in this season is the lack of production from the tight ends outside of Jake Ferguson. It also puts a lot of pressure on Jake to be everything, so for Peyton, we know those guys are boys. Hopefully Peyton is able to step up and make things a little bit easier for his number one, but also to be a consistent part of this offense. Tight ends really can change an offense. They really can. They can really make it uptick. I think that's why we've seen it be better recently, because of Jake Ferguson. So sprinkle in some Henny and let's see what happens.
Sprinkle in some Henny. I like that. Hopefully Luke Schoonmaker can actually, kind of get the ball rolling too.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
would really help with that tight end room. But
Competition is good, girl.
Competition is good. But
and not to sleep on Sean McEwen, guys. Come on.
She's not.
I don't play when it comes to that.
Yep, I didn't want to leave him out.
No, you can't, because his blocking, you want to talk about blocking abilities from a tight end, he has been consistent with that and consistently improving from what was already good, starting from what we saw at training camp, even into now. And so, to me, when your tight end can keep up with the veterans in the room as far as your pass blocking and the consistent pass blocking grades that he's gotten throughout these last few weeks that he was elevated to the roster, look, maybe he's not in the receiving threat aspect of things, but it's, again, he's doing something that you don't notice he's doing because he's doing it well.
He's doing the dirty work.
And so he is. He's doing the grunt work. He's doing the dirty work. So I don't want to, I'm just saying, I didn't want to, not give him credit for what he's been contributing as well.
That's my bad. I know Jess.
All good?
Jess had it covered, though.
I got you. Go ahead.
But, I mean, looking at the practice report, we've got pretty much a
boom, boom, boom,
healthy
boom,
team.
boom, boom, boom.
We got a pretty much healthy team, yo.
That's a blessing.
That's a blessing.
I don't even want to say it out loud.
Won't he do it? Let's go ahead and knock on wood.
Oh, okay.
Please.
I mean,
but it's good.
I mean, it is. When
this
you
wasn't
look at
wood,
being,
this is
baby.
plastic.
It's okay.
We're
getting somewhere.
It's metal.
What y'all laughing about?
Because she said knock on wood. I was like, that's plastic.
And
then she said, we're getting somewhere. And she hits here, which is metal.
Oh, I just kind of took the L and knowing it wasn't wood. I was okay with it.
I hit it over here. We're good.
All right.
We're good.
The fact that it's week 11, y'all.
Yeah.
Like, that's what, and so when you mention the health of the team right now, it is a good thing, because when I looked up and I seen week 11, Cowboys versus Carolina,
Crazy.
I said, week 11?
Yeah.
I mean, this is flying by. So, yeah, to your point, the health of the team being pretty good overall right now is awesome.
Yeah. And this game is pretty much the longer lasting team as far as health-wise, hey, the better chance.
It's a big part. Plays a big part of it in the playoffs, especially.
Yeah. I also think too, with what you saw, how kind of scrappy things were getting at the end of the Giants game, and they did not hold off. It was all gas, no brakes with how physical the Giants were playing, and talking to some of the guys in the locker room, they're like, we do feel sore, so they are banged up. It's not like you're going into this part of the season, and this goes around the league, I think, but you're not going into the season fully unscathed. I mean, there's nobody that feels
got something right now.
Incredible right now. Everyone's a little banged up. So the guys that did pop up on the injury report today, again, I think is just a product with how physical of a game that these Giants-Cowboys games typically are. There's a lot more riding on these games, guys. Whether the Giants were a should-be or a should-win for this team, it doesn't mean that the Giants weren't putting it all out there to try to try to at least be more physical. So some of the names popped up on the injury report. Saw some Twitter panic.
Yeah.
Everybody fully participated in the walkthrough, which is the first step of a good sign for what could come later this week in practice.
Yeah. And also we want to acknowledge Jake Ferguson again, Mike McCarthy. Acknowledging, sorry, y'all. I know, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Mike McCarthy acknowledging that he does know that Jake has a big decision to make. And so...
Leighton.
Leighton, I'm sorry. Leighton, we were just talking about tight ends. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. He knows that
is...
Leighton has a big decision to make. So that's something that they want to give him time to really think about, as far as his career, and hopefully that he can still be around and things like that. So what were some of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no. So going into locker room today, we had both Marquise Bell and Damone Clark in there, which to talk to both of them today was very eye-opening for not only kind of where their mindset is right now, but what's been going on the past few weeks, because something that's just been a reoccurring theme that we keep hearing from, we heard from Mike, we heard from Marquise, we heard from Damone, was Leighton has still been here. He's been very active and still being a part of this team, whether it be in group chats, saying, hey guys, let's do this, whether it be an extra pair of eyes on the sideline, helping them diagnose. Marquise called him, he went a step to say, he's been like another coach to us, really, being on the sideline for us. And so, what I also thought was really cool, because we like to talk about the human element that these players are first before being players on this podcast, is Damone was talking about when he was going through his rehab process. And, we've talked about this before. Leighton would sit in there with him and have conversations, really encouraging conversations with him, saying, hey, your time's coming. Your time's coming. And then, throw back to that last season. Anthony Barr was out. It was Damone's turn to step in. And Leighton told him, all right, it's your time now. You got this. And so today, talking to Damone, he said that one of the biggest lessons that Leighton has taught him is just be you. Just go be you. Don't be anything else. Don't try to be anything else. Go be you. But Damone talked about, Leighton was there for him through some of those dark times when he was in his rehab process, and all of the emotions he felt, because he said we're humans too. We feel very dark times as well. And he said, so now it's his turn. He said, it's my turn to kind of return the favor, be there for my mentor and my brother, my locker mate, my teammate. And he said, so I'm going to return that favor, and we're going to be there for him no matter what he decides. So it's pulling at the heartstrings in the locker room this morning, and although we don't know what Leighton is going to decide, it seems like no matter what he decides, he will forever have a special place in this locker room.
Yeah. And that'd be interesting to see if they bring him, maybe on the staff somewhere, things like that. Work him somewhere around.
Yeah.
Just to keep him around. That'll be pretty interesting to see. But
yeah,
let's go ahead and talk about this Panthers Cowboys matchup, or lack thereof. Sorry, too soon. Let's go ahead and break it down. I'm sorry.
I'm hurting.
Let's go ahead and break this down. There's a lot of things going on with the Panthers. 1-8. They have the worst record in the NFL right now. Coaching change is about to be a play caller. It's just a whole lot of
taking over. Head coach taking over the play calling in the middle of the season that's tough, man. It's tough. It's a lot going on down there.
Yeah.
What you got?
I don't know. I mean, how do you adjust to being the play caller midway through the season? I don't really know. I'm just kind of like,
you only do it when you're at dire strength.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
when you have to do it.
You do it. You only do it when it's completely necessary. And man, before we start talking about this offense, I want to be I want to be transparent, just because I watched Bryce Young, watched his college tape during the draft, and just saw the player that he was. And I just think watching him, it just again shows that where you're placed and where you're drafted and just how things fall are really important to a QB's development. I feel like I want to be very careful. I think we all have to be careful in how we evaluate young quarterbacks, because there are just so many factors that play into it. And everybody's a little microwave about young quarterbacks, I feel like now, is that we expect for them to be whatever right away. But, yeah, this offense, back to it, this offense is struggling. They're averaging about 17 points per game. And That's 29th in the league, and when you look at the Cowboys' defense, they only allow 18.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it really starts with the offensive line. Baby. Baby. They've given up 32 sacks this year. Just really struggling to just consistently move the ball or for the quarterback to have time. And the thing is that when the quarterback does have time, the baby's back there overthinking a bit. Yeah. And it's just, it's tough, man. It's really tough because, like, I think this offense overall is really stagnant in a way. And, I mean, we'll get into it more. But, yeah, that's, off first glance, it's a lot of not good going on offensively for them. And it really starts with the quarterback and the offensive line. So, what you got? You looked at some film. You looked at some stuff.
I mean, as much as I could, yeah.
Yeah, it hurts a little bit.
As much as I could handle. No, but what I think is so interesting, and we talked about this, we do talk about this a lot when you're talking about an unfamiliar opponent, an uncommon opponent, is they're going to give you a lot of unscouted looks. And I thought it was interesting that Mike McCarthy even talked about that in his press conference today, is that you're going to get a lot of unscouted looks, and they have to be prepared for that. Because what have we seen before? Let's take a little trip back to
nobody.
Lane.
They don't play nobody and play the Cowboys like
this is going to be their Super Bowl.
Like their Super Bowl.
This is going to be their Super Bowl. And, and here's the thing. If your team is absolutely deflated to the point where your head coach has to take over your play calling, what better way to rebound and be like, hey, we still have some juice left in the tank than to go out there and beat this Cowboys team.
Yeah.
I mean, really, they have nothing else to lose at this point. What? Seriously, the Cowboys are going in here having more to lose than they do. And talking to some of the guys today, you know, there's a couple players, and I won't name who, but that I go up to every week and I say, all right, what's the message for the week? What is your message for the week? And it's always interesting because they're very honest about it, and then I usually hear McCarthy kind of echo that same sentiment in his press conference, and today it was, don't play to their level, play to your level, and you continue to play to your level. Mike kind of said that in the presser earlier, and a couple of the guys that I did get to talk to, and I asked them every week, that was kind of the biggest message, was to continue to play at their level and not take it down a notch just because they think that it's an easy win, and they don't. They said, we're not worried about anything but what we're doing. And so I think if they keep that one-track mind, tunnel vision, again, this should be another easy win. This should be another sit down in the fourth quarter situation. But again, a lot of unscouted looks are going to go into this one. So
some pieces.
Makes it interesting.
I got a little fun fact, y'all. So the Cowboys have a chance to end their losing streak.
On the road, right?
Yep.
No, to a number 1 overall quarterback pick in their rookie year this Sunday. Yes.
That's a good
quarterback,
one.
Bryce Young. The last win they got was in 1971. That was against former Patriots quarterback Jim Plunkett. Since then, they're 0-4 with losses to Michael Vick, David Carr, Eli Manning, and Jameis Winston.
Wow.
Worthy opponents. I ain't even gonna hold you. I mean, like, that list it's not a bad list to be losing to. I guess.
For sure.
But you also do need that road win too.
W's eating.
You need that road win.
You need the road win
for sure.
You're 100% correct. That's my thing about playing to your level. Playing to me, this team taking the next step. We've seen the improvements offensively. We've seen what some of the things that the adjustments they've made. The biggest adjustment to me is winning on the road. And also to the penalties on the road. I know that's her jam right there.
Don't get me
because when you play a
started.
team like this that is still just trying to sort things out, the biggest thing they can do is try to muddy up the game and to make it, you know, a lot more of a tough game and a tough game plan. It's crazy because when you look at this team, like, especially I looked at them defensively, and I mean, they're pretty good on third down. Now, they're 9th in the NFL on third down. They're 7th in yards per game. But they are terrible in the red zone. Like, they're like 30th in red. So what is it? Okay. So I was going to ask y'all. So you do bend, don't break. Because that's typically what it means. It's like you'll give up yards, but you won't break in the red zone. What do you call? Is it break, don't bend? What do you call it when you're good between the 20s, but then when you get in the red zone, you terrible?
Unproductive. That's what you call it.
Oh, well, dang it.
But I think she's trying to use the words.
I get it, but like,
don't bend, break. Don't break, bend.
Yeah, this secondary.
I don't know.
Their secondary is kind of scrappy though, y'all. They got a few players like.
Sorry,
I'm going to jail.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think. You broke my brain.
No, but I think she was trying to
think. That's why I said,
my brain doesn't feel like it's working right now.
Their defense is confusing, but in fairness, they're on the field a lot because their offense is putting them in tough spots, and they're not getting much from their offense. I don't know. Like watching them defensively, I was very surprised. I was like, oh, they can do some stuff. Like they're scrappy on that back end. They don't give up. They don't give up a whole bunch in the secondary, but man, in the red zone they struggle. So the Cowboys can continue this streak of getting into the red zone. That was a big part of the conversation. It's been a big part of the conversation, since the season started. Is why aren't they scoring in the red zone? Well, QB's using his legs, and it's confusing people down there. So. Like it's tough. It's tough because their offense is just, it hurts.
Well, on that note, we're going to go ahead and take our first break. You're watching Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. We'll be right back.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby. The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
To AT&T Stadium on Saturday, December 9th to experience Rally Day presented by SeatGeek. Take a tour of AT&T Stadium, get autographs from the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders and alumni, play games, head out to the Miller Lighthouse, and even play on the field. Don't forget to get your photo with Santa and Mrs. Claus as well. Visit AT&TStadium.com/rallydays for tickets and more information.
Mrs. Claus is that girl.
Big Santa fan over here.
She that girl.
She is. She is her.
She the boss.
Yes, she is. I don't think Santa makes any of those decisions.
Ooh, well, Mark McCarthy got some decisions to make.
Good transition.
No, I'm just playing. Actually, he does.
Yeah, no, but really.
That's to get his team ready for this game on Sunday. No matter who they're playing, of course, like you said, Jess, they are prepared. But if we talk about this offense, the Panthers offense, sorry. The Panthers defense, I'm sorry. They're the 6th ranked passing defense in the NFL. And you mentioned it, you touched on it earlier. They don't give up a lot in the secondary. So for me, it's going to be interesting. And they kind of, from watching a little bit, they run some man, some zone, and they kind of like do combine packages, if that makes sense. So sometimes a little man at the line of scrimmage, and then secondary they play zone. So it'll be fun to see how CD and Brandon Cooks, some of those guys match up with their corners. What do you think that there's a test at all for those guys?
Absolutely. I do. I strongly believe that, especially with this team, kind of veering towards being more of an aerial attack. It feels like you don't snuff at the opportunity to go up against, a secondary that is, I wrote it down, I consider them scrappy. They're scrappy. They're going to fight as much as they can, especially given the fact that I think they are aware of what their offense is doing, so they put a little bit more oomph into their game as much as they can. They're not getting a whole bunch of turnovers, but they're effective in coverage. So to your point, we're looking for this offense to continue this streak like we talked about. I don't want it to be a Brandon Cooks week 1 week, and then it's like we don't see him at all this week. How can we continue to build upon what this receiving threat is becoming and sprinkle in some more of those other guys too that we kind of saw get involved in this past game too, like the Jalen Brooks and Jalen Tolbert and those gentlemen as well.
Sorry.
Oh,
It's
no,
okay.
you're okay. I didn't know are you okay?
I'm good.
Do you need water?
I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay. That's there if you need it.
Thanks.
What I was gonna say too is the cornerback core with the Panthers, pretty experienced. I mean, there's some younger guys sprinkled in there, but for the most part, especially when you're talking about man and press, it's not going to be as easy as people think, and it should be. But what we have typically seen from the Cowboys, it takes a second to warm up, and that's okay. But what I am interested, Aisha, to your point, is I do want to continue to see, how do I say this nicely? I don't want to see them take a step back from the progress that they started to make against the Giants because they have a favorable matchup ahead of them either. You want to continue to see Brandon Cooks, but you also want to continue to see guys like Jake Ferguson. Sorry, Kyle's passing by over here. Hello, Kyle. You want to see guys like Jake Ferguson and just really that tight end room. For me is what I'm going to be looking at is, yes, you would love to see Jake continue to do what he's doing, but I want to see Schoon. I really want to see Schoon in this matchup a lot because we're talking about a game of confidence, and we were talking about that in terms of Michael Gallup last week. I think you're kind of seeing a similar situation with Luke Schoonmaker in this offense. He's had some dropped passes. He had that almost touchdown a couple weeks ago. He needs the one big play, and I think this could be the game where, yes, cornerbacks are going to be trying to do what they're going to do with CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Jake Ferguson a little bit more. I want to see a little bit more of Schoon get involved this week because I think this is a good matchup for him to do it and build that confidence, especially before you get into that span of 3 games in 12 days.
So if you're Mike McCarthy, are you being creative as far as play calling, saying, let's run some different things to get Schoon involved?
Maybe
or
in the
is
red
it kind of
zone.
like, let's just keep what we have going from the Giants and the games before?
I don't think you give any unscouted looks here. I don't think this is the matchup you need to do it, but I do think in the red zone, you try to get Schoon a little bit more involved because you should try to see what works for you well in the red zone now. Now that you have your receiving threat to get you down the field, and the red zone hasn't been a problem like it was a few weeks ago, but you can start to get a little bit more creative, start getting Schoon involved. Rico, Tony Pollard, starting to get more of those guys in the red zone more involved because that will only make you better as a consistent threat in the red zone. So I don't necessarily think you force it, but if it's favorable, the look's right there for Dak and Schoon's open, take it.
Yeah, that's my thing. I mean, being this late into the season, and although like I do feel similarly that you don't want to give up on your 3rd round pick, you want to continue to second.
Who, Schoon?
Second.
Oh, baby, I'm slipping in the polls.
It's okay.
Your 2nd round pick. But at the same token, we are about that time in the season where it's like, if you ain't got it yet, then we're gonna have to continue. We're gonna have to, and if I'm being honest, I think that plays a huge role in why Peyton Hendershot has gotten elevated. It's because even though Schoon has done fantastic in blocking, the opportunities they've given him as a receiving threat, he hasn't delivered yet. And I mean, it's been 11 weeks at this point, so it's like, yeah, if he's there, yeah, absolutely. But at this point in the season, when you're about to go on this run and you're trying to go on this run, you need reliability. So. Yeah, I do want to see from this offense in the run game.
That's what I was going to ask you,
In the run game, how this offensive line continues to gel and build and find some things that they do well. Also, too, you mentioned Rico in the red zone, stuff like that. Getting them involved because no knock to the Carolina linebackers, and they can play some ball. Deion Jones is there, and he's a baller. But I do think there are some favorable matchups. This offensive line, I want to see them consistently get to the 2nd level and to their communication to be a little tighter, their spacing be a little bit better. This would be a good game to maybe kind of continue to try to implement that run game, even though I think the pass will be there as well.
Yeah, especially with the run game. There's like a little diagram on here where you can see how many runs Rico Dowdle had for 5 or more plus yards and that was to the left side. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Strong
5,
side.
6,
We
7.
talked about this.
So yeah,
We talked about this.
seven of them came to the strong side. He had 4 runs for between 0 and 5 yards to the right side. Of course, with Terrence Steele and Zach, and 1 tackle for loss. But I mean, I think that's encouragement, for this offensive line. So maybe this is also a game where you, like mentioned, maybe try to, see how Terrence Steele holds up in a game like this.
Also,
the way, since you can,
Not to mention,
Yeah.
the Panthers are last in the NFL for defending the run. They're ranked last.
I said,
So if you wanna try that run, please.
Yeah, you might as well.
Please
Yeah.
open the floodgates.
maybe
Try it
establish some new things there. And
Yeah.
I mean, so when I went back and watched the game, it's just funny to watch. Teams that really don't want Tony to beat you, so they are loading the box. And so when you look at Rico's runs, I think Mike McCarthy, he does have lighter boxes, but I think if you continue to put his tape on film and for him to continue to play, that's gonna change, baby. Because he's already so hard to tackle, Rico, and it's if you ain't got another guy in the box to help out, he looks like he's just gonna continue to get big runs. So I wonder if they continue to play him, if he starts getting that same respect that Tony gets, and again, that just helps out your passing game still. You loading the box, boss, we about to make you pay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to see the run game. To your point, this is a game that's the favorable matchup. It is. And when you talk about the secondary, the run game is the favorable matchup. So let's see what they
Run.
I think everything is
the
favorable for
You
this
stop
Cowboys team.
saying that.
Run.
I'm sorry. It's the truth.
No, say
stats.
that.
It's favorable, but that doesn't mean they need
That
to
doesn't
let
mean
up.
they need to let up. Again, we saw that against Arizona. We don't need to see that.
Yeah,
again.
this defense. Yeah, that's the side of the ball that I'm more so come on with it, is the defense. Just given everything we talked about and where Carolina's, their offensive line, baby, they're giving up at almost 4 sacks a game. Excuse me? 3.6 sacks a game. What's happening?
I don't know.
Y'all can't hear me?
Oh no, I can hear you. I can't hear you.
Did my mic just turn on?
Oh no.
Jazzy, can you hear?
Some technical difficulties.
All right, let's go ahead and go to break
Break and
real
find out
quick.
what's
We're
going
going to
on.
figure out some technical difficulties. We will be right back. This is Girls Talk Boys Talk presented by Jigsaw.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Experience the magic of the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at Christmas time. Available through the holiday season on select dates only, Christmas Tours of the Star get you VIP viewing at Cowboys Christmas Extravaganza, a holiday-themed guided tour of the Star, and festive takeaways, including a limited edition ornament and a Santa hat. Space is limited. Book your visit at thestarinfrisco.com/tours today. I'm gonna need that ornament, guys. I'm gonna need it. That's not a want, that's a need.
Do we know what it looks like?
Interesting.
I don't, but I need it.
So you just want it.
I just want it.
So what?
No,
if
I need
What
it.
if it's not even cute?
Well, there's one way to find out. You can go to starinfrisco.com/tours and figure it out.
We got my mic working, y'all.
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh.
Let's talk about this defense.
Yes.
Switch gears. Do y'all? Well, we already know this offense has not really put on tape something that this Cowboys defense can't handle. But again, they have to be ready for anything that comes to them on Sunday. From what you've seen from Bryce Young, I feel like, at least from what I saw, he hasn't really played well under pressure, and of course his offensive line not really doing much help for him. Do y'all think that he poses a threat at all for this defense, Cowboys defense?
Yeah, because he's mobile. And that's one thing that he does do well, and that's one thing that has translated to his game is like he will take off, and he's elusive, he's speedy, he'll extend plays with his legs, and he's having to do that a lot. The only thing is like you're more afraid of the quarterback that's escaping and looking downfield like a Dak Prescott to make the pass, and not the quarterback that's just running for his life. And so, I mean, maybe that's not a nice way to say it, but he's running. And so, he does pose a threat there still. And there are times that when he is, what game did they play? The Texans. I watched them against the Texans. When they have blocked things up pretty well for him, he can make passes. I mean, DJ Chark is a guy that they got from the Lions. He's dealing with an elbow, so we don't know if he's going to go or not, but physical, speedy guy, got a lot of, he has some burst to him. Mingo. I forgot what his first name is. I just wrote down Mingo. My bad, y'all. My nose be chaotic.
It's okay.
But I watched him in the draft. Speedy, bursty guy. He can break tackles. He's huge. There's some gentlemen that they have. Adam Thielen, we know that name. Heard that name a lot against the Vikings. He's kind of become, for every young quarterback, he's the security blanket. He's the guy that he knows how to work back to the quarterback and help out this young guy. But I do think that Hayden Hurst, the other tight end, might get some burn too. So they have gentlemen on that side that can make plays if there's things blocked up. Quarterback is just struggling with accuracy. Quarterback is just struggling with mechanics. Quarterback is struggling with pressure. Like you can literally see him like seeing the rush come to him, and he's panicking. And I feel for him. I really do, because coaching matters so much for a young quarterback, and you can just tell either there's a disconnect there with his coaches, or this is a gentleman that played at Alabama. He ain't scared, like he's seen the light. So it's he's really struggling, and to your point, I'm curious to see how Dan Quinn throws some different coverage looks at him and stuff like that, because baby, if you disguising something, it's disguised. It got a cloak on it. He don't know what it is. It's like the Harry Potter thing.
Yeah, you have to be careful with him, too, though, on the move. He averages about 6.8 yards per rush. So it's not like he's getting small chunks of the field when he is using his legs.
He'll hurt you with his legs.
He's going to get you. He's going to get you. So that run defense needs to be at an all-time high. The communication and the diagnosing to the RPO specifically is going to be very key in this game. And again, you want to talk about a run defense that no longer has the question mark of if Leighton is returning. This is what you have now. And now that, and I don't necessarily think that's something that everyone just found out. But now that that's the precedence going into this game, you start establishing that, yes, those were shoes to fill, but these are now your shoes that you're wearing for the rest of the season. So really defining what this run defense is here inside the box is going to be, I think, key in this matchup as well.
Is this a game to see kind of Micah get back in his groove? He was zeroed out last week. Do y'all feel like this is just a game also to see him get a little bit more production from him?
If not, oh well.
Yep.
And I say this I say this very firmly, and if not, oh well, because when you look at Micah's game, his impact on the game is not always going to be flashy. It's not always going to be pretty, but baby, when he's getting triple teamed, that's why Sam Williams is having success. When he's getting triple and double teamed, that's why you see Dorrance Armstrong doing this thing. These guys can win on their own, but how much more does it help when people are dedicating their lives to make sure 11's not going to tear up this game? Because it's another thing too, is that when 11 makes a play, it radiates. It's something about it, so I understand why teams are doing it. But if not, we can still see Sam Williams still continue to take an uptick. Also, Diggy Zua, Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler, who's had 7 pressures last week. Like, we can still see the other gentlemen around, have success. But I did notice something with Dan Quinn last week is that he's using Sam, Micah, those guys up the A and B gap, which is the middle over the center, which it puts a lot of stress on a center, y'all, because they already have to make the calls, but to snap the ball and to get set when you have a guy that can come off the ball so fast. They used Sam Williams last week, and it was dope, actually. They made it look like he was rushing. He dropped into coverage as a spy, and that's how he almost got the safety. That's crafty stuff, and that type of stuff is confusing for a young guy. I do believe that this defensive line is still going to have opportunities. Their center is struggling a little bit. Their right tackle is really having a hard time with speedy guys. So we could see Micah have another, great game, but it's just there are going to be games where people like, nah, not 11. And the other guys got to step up. Him? I don't blame him. But it's the same way, though, as like when we talk about CeeDee Lamb. If y'all going to double CeeDee Lamb, then Brandon
opens
Cooks
up for other guys.
Absolutely. And so it's a give and take thing.
Point.
So I'm cool with this. Could be a game where he bounce back or whatever. But his impact is bigger than what I think
the conversation.
Some
is
of the
right
conversation is right now.
Absolutely. I mean, and if you expect people at this point in Micah's career to not do everything to neutralize him.
What are we doing?
How do you not expect that at this point? And Micah expects that. Micah expects everything to come at him to hold him back from your quarterback, especially when you have a Bryce Young that's struggling. You don't want Micah by him. So again, no, I agree with Aisha completely. You worded it perfectly. You said everything.
I fussed a little bit.
I knew you had something to say about it, but. No, I agree. I agree completely with that. And mic drop to Aisha.
I mean, the run game, though, like, that's something, this defense, obviously, Nicole, I don't know if you know, like, that's something that they've struggled with technically. Cowboys have been better this year. Don't make a mistake about it. Like, Chuba Hubbard is a good back. Miles Sanders is a good back. But they're not getting, baby, when I say there's, like, no lanes for real in this run game. So I still want to see how the Cowboys' gap integrity is, how they tackle, how they rally. Because to your point earlier, when you said that you asked Mike McCarthy was talking about how to get your guys up for a game like this. There's a human element in this, man. That people don't want to talk about.
It's hard.
They know what they're watching on film. Baby, I seen it. If I seen it, I know they seen it. And it's like, you still got to come out and play sound football. And you mentioned unscouted looks. I'm so glad you mentioned that because I expect that. I do expect it. Frank Reich is taking over. Maybe they try to do some different things, this week that they maybe haven't done this week. And
but it's third. What's today? Thursday?
It's
Wednesday. Okay.
This might be the only time we hearing about it, though. This might be the first time we hearing about it. They might have made the decision later, and their preparation has been with him involved. So maybe.
I mean, I also don't see them trying to change things drastically either. You can't. No, you can't because you can't make it more confusing than what it already is right now. So. Yeah,
they can't.
They're in a situation.
They can't.
They shouldn't at least.
So I got something though that I think was gonna make her happy when you talk about not right now. When you talk about this offense and them continuing their uptick, special teams matters.
Ooh, I love special teams.
This offense, because they have been playing so porous, they have put their punter in a lot of tough spots. And he is punting that thing more than... I mean, he's punted the ball 41 times this season, which
41.
is... It's crazy.
Oh, man.
It's crazy. He's punted the ball 41 times this season. He's only had 16 inside the 20. Which
out of 41?
Out of 41. Which lets me know, baby, that leg is... They get fatigued, too. We've talked to Jess. I know. We talked to Christy. We talked to these guys. They feel fatigued, too.
Yeah.
And so with Kevontae Turpin and us not knowing what's going to happen with him... Was he on the injury report today?
He participated.
Well, baby. We'll see.
It was a walkthrough.
Walkthrough.
Yeah.
Whoever the returner is, maybe we'll have opportunities to have returns in this game because this punter is I would
Giving them
expect
short
for him
fields,
to
yeah.
short fields, opportunity, cut the field in half for your offense, let them be able to take advantage.
Yep.
That was something that I noticed, and I was like, I can't wait to tell Jess about it.
You know, I love me some special teams.
Because special teams is something that gets kind of left out the conversation,
Yeah.
but it's important. It's an extension of your offense and your defense on both sides, and I just feel like that punter, baby, they may have to give him a raise because he punting for real.
I was
Punting for real.
also thinking about this because John Fossil said earlier in the week during his press conference how he's had to deal with the most roster changes this season than he probably ever has in his career so far.
fair.
And you look at the players that have gone down. So CJ Goodwin, obviously your special teams ace going down.
Yeah.
That shifted a lot of things for him. And then you can even go back to say, Kelvin Joseph was another situation where he was getting a lot of attention from the special teams. And then Noah Igbenogany comes in. He hasn't been active. But then you even look at the linebacker room and how,
That's
Leighton's
changing.
absence has changed things for special teams. There's been a lot of changes for Bones, is my point. And so Mike mentioned that today in his press conference when he was talking about the linebacker development and saying that Bones has been the one who's been challenged the most so far this season. And I just think, again, when you look at special teams, you kind of forget how important it is for field position and how things trickle down. But just want to give kudos to John Fossil for absolutely handling these changes in the most professional way because a lot has happened that trickles right back down to special teams, and he has handled it well, and you've gotten good plays out of it. You've gotten a JT more involved at gunner, you have a Sam Williams have a good thrive and reignition in his career, so special teams does a lot for people. So some special teams and Bones Fossil.
Some
Kudos to all
almost
those
blocked
coaches.
punts last week
Yeah.
too. Almost he be bringing the heat.
Yeah.
He can. I feel like it's so
Wanye Thomas,
Hang
guys
on.
like that.
When you call him John, I'd be like,
I know
who?
it's weird.
Bones. I don't know him as anything other. I'm like, who are you talking about? Oh, that's his name.
Bones.
Clearly,
Oh
that's
my goodness.
his government name. Clearly. So yeah, I can't wait till tomorrow. Talk to the guys in the locker room. Get a feel, see some, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll have some things for y'all.
Yes. We'll be back tomorrow, Thursday. Catch y'all at 4 o'clock on the dot.
Please.
We'll see y'all tomorrow. You're watching Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Have a good day.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!